couple of years ago, I went to Iraq. I'd grown tired of watching the news every night and listening to generals and politicians talking about the economic costs and the political costs of war, without ever mentioning the human cost of war. And I wanted to see with my own eyes what life is like for people in Iraq, both Iraqi civilians as well as U.S. soldiers. So I hopped the plane, some friends, my guitar and video camera, and I went and played music on the streets of Baghdad. We made a film about it called I Know I'm Not Alone. Some of you might have seen this one. I also traveled to Israel and Palestine, the West Bank, and Gaza Strip, talked to people on both sides of the conflict. I remember walking into a bar to play for some soldiers that had been invited there. And that same day I visited a hospital where I had seen a room full of kids who had suffered blast injuries, missing limbs. I went into another room full of kids who were all undergoing various stages of chemotherapy because the incidence of cancer amongst children in Iraq has gone up 500% since the Gulf War, the first Gulf War. And it's due largely to depleted uranium weapons that we've been using. So as I was going around the room, I went to each kid who was in the bed, and the mothers and grandmothers and aunts or whoever was the woman closest to the child who was living in the same bed in the hospital because they didn't have places to stay. And as I was going around with each kid, the woman who was with me, the doctor, just kept hustling me along. She said, "We have to hurry, we have to get to the next person that can't stay here so long." I said, "No, it's okay, let's sing a song for each kid, spend time with each mother and talk to them." When I finished that room, she took me out in the hall and she said, "Michael, I'm not trying to rush you, but you see these 30 kids in this room. We have 6 more rooms just like this one." And so, having gone through that, later that night I went to play for these soldiers who may have been the very soldiers who had done these things to these kids. And so I was contemplating what I would say to them, what songs I would sing to them. A lot of my songs are political songs, so I was thinking, how am I going to walk into this room of soldiers and sing songs speaking out against the war and support of peace to a guy sitting in front of me with a loaded M16 and a beer in the other hand. So I talked to my friend Barbara Lubin, who has had a lot of experience traveling to the Middle East for many years. She's 63 years old, and I said, "Barbara, what do I say?" She said, "Michael, it's not important what you say. It's not so important what you sing. What's important is that you let each one of the guys in this room that we're going to know that you came all the way here just to be with them right now." And I've taken that as I've traveled around the world. That bit of advice when I get into uncomfortable situations. It could be in a war zone, it could be in a place where there's incredible poverty or gang violence. It could just be in an elevator at our record label. But I've always taken that with me, that we don't have to be who we think the other person wants us to be. We just sometimes have to let that person know that we're there just to be with them in that moment. And I think that's really an important thing to remember this year. It's an election year. It's a very important year. And it's not going to take one leader to solve the problems of this nation, to solve the problems of this planet. It's going to take all of us as individuals on this earth to do our part. Republican, Democrat, Black, White, men, because there's a reason why we have the cast of characters that we see running right now in this to provide an opportunity for all of us to look into our own hearts and to see the level of compassion that we have. And that's what this song is about. They say you got to choose your side when it's done. Nobody right, nobody wrong. You didn't need in a great big fight when it's done. Nobody right, nobody wrong. Conflict each and every day, at home and in the streets and in my soul and every way. It's hard to keep the faith when I feel so far away. Times I feel connected, times I'm running away. Whoa, whoa, can't you see all the sickness, hunger, and poverty? War on the land and a war on the seas. Whoa, war is a painful thing, but the one argument none of us can hide is the one that's raging down deep inside. Trying to make a point or hide the last word. Most of the time people are just trying to be heard. So you got to choose your side when it's done. Nobody right, nobody wrong. You living in a great big fight when it's done. Nobody right, nobody wrong. Well, how many people never ever broke a rule? How many people trying to get their kids to school? How many people pray they only find a job? And how many people are afraid of getting robbed? Whoa, whoa, nobody knows. Whoa, whoa, only God knows. Numbers that still ain't Wall Street, crime rate on the Baghdad streets to my city by the bay. Hey, you got to choose your side when it's done. Nobody right, nobody wrong, nobody right now. You're living a great big fight when it's done. Nobody right, nobody wrong. And I say, can you say what you mean? Can you mean what you mean when you say? Can you say what you mean? Can you mean what you mean when you say? Can you say what you mean? Can you mean what you mean when you say? Can you say what you mean? Every single day. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Reach out a hand to somebody needs a hand. Reach out a heart to somebody torn apart. It's hard, it's living, this life we've been given, locked in your soul and locked up in prison. Remember, you got to reach high to be risen. The day you let go is the day you are forgiven. You got to choose your side when it's done. Nobody right, nobody wrong, nobody right now. Nobody right, nobody wrong, nobody right now. Nobody right, nobody wrong. And I say, one man got a jet fighter and the other got a song. Nobody right, nobody wrong. Thank you.